Uh-oh. I have to do it on a different connection. We're going to be a little late. Just a second.
It says we're live.
I know. We are live, but our real show is about to go live. Hold on.
Live on the tubes.
Yeah.
But not on the networks.
Yeah. We have a...
And now you've locked up.
Okay, connecting to TeamSpeak. Connecting to LRN.
Connected.
Starting recording. Okay, welcome everyone. We are live. This is Peace News Now. You can catch us at peacenewsnow.com/live. Joining me, not in studio, but it sounds like studio quality, is Davi Barker of ShinyBadges.com and BitcoinNotBombs.com. Hey, Davi.
How's it going?
It's excellent. Got a little bit of a late start today because I made a mistake signing into the wrong network, trying to get connected to LRN. That is the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm. Good to be there at home on the Liberty Radio Network, but sometimes I fail at connecting to us. So I've got a lot of great stories of peaceful resistance to share with the audience. It's been a big week. You know, this show, I love to cover the people who are out in the world doing the things that are courageous, like standing up for themselves. Often I ask when I read a news story, why don't these people tell the police no? And so I collect all those news stories whenever they do tell the police no, because that is happening out there, and I think it's worth highlighting. So a couple of the stories in the news this week are a little bit sad. There's one story of peaceful resistance where a young man is fighting the police where they're trying to create child pornography, and this is not an exaggeration. I'm sure you heard this story, Davi.
Oh, it's not pornography if the state does it.
Right. So what happened is this 15-year-old and 17-year-old exchanged sexts of their naked bodies. And now the state is looking to prosecute this 17-year-old boy for child porn, for creating and dispensing child porn with his girlfriend. And so the way that they're going to determine whether or not he's guilty, I shouldn't laugh, is to inject his penis with a chemical that will give it an erection. They're going to do this at the local hospital and take pictures of his erect penis and determine if that's the same one. And this is justice in 2014 America. I mean,
here's the thing, like at its root, like child pornography is a scourge because it has all of these detrimental psychological effects if you like sexualize somebody at a young age and blah 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 blah. And these people were clearly already independently sexualized because they're both about the same age. But, you know, there are also sort of probably detrimental psychological effects having a needle stuck in your penis against your will. You know? Like, how humiliating must that be to, like, be standing in front of a panel of police officers and doctors like, oh yeah, we've identified it. Are they gonna do a lineup? Are they gonna be like, is there gonna be a witness and there's gonna be a bunch of erect penises? They have to pick it out of a lineup. Is that how it's gonna work?
It's unclear to me. I don't think there's gonna be. I mean, what could they compare it against? Do they have
the photo? I guess.
They're not bringing other penises in for.
But that's how a lineup works, right? Like that's police investigation for you.
Really strange. I did just hear from Daryl W. Perry that the broadcast was not going out over LRN for whatever strange reason. I moved a lot of my equipment this week because there was a film crew in Keene talking about the peaceful resistance that's happening here. That's very exciting. So they're still around asking questions, interviewing the activists. And that's very cool. So we're going to get into that story a little bit. It's weird that the police are creating child pornography with this. I would hope that the young boy has some sort of strategy. He is resisting it, obviously.
Can you imagine, like, who comes up with this idea? Like, I don't know.
You're right. Someone has to be responsible for the idea itself. Like, there is a chain of command. So someone commanded this be done. And
then the next person they said it to didn't laugh in their face and tell them that it's idiotic.
Right. They just were like, okay.
Or back away slowly because it's such a despicable thing to suggest. No, they said, yeah, that sounds like that's a good idea. I'm going to pass that along.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Another story of a woman in New Jersey. She's from. This hits real close to home to me because she's from Philly. She needs a gun to protect herself and her family. She's a mother, and she's facing 3 years in prison over just bringing her gun from Philly to New Jersey. And she didn't know, she's having gun permit problems. She was being completely honest on all the forms about like what guns she brought over. Didn't know that it was illegal. We'll talk about that. I'm just going to go through a couple of these stories, see if you've heard anything about them. We got the Jackalope Freedom Festival coming up August 1st to the 3rd. Give a plug for the Jackalope Freedom Festival. That's like a camping outing. It's like another pork fest that sort of happens in Arizona. So if you're in the Arizona area and you missed Pork Fest, maybe you should go to the Jackalope Freedom Festival. I hear there's going to be a lot of the same cool people there. Plus, Reason.com did an article this week about when the government banned sliced bread. Did you happen to catch that article, Davi? I want to talk about that a little.
No, but I would kind of like to know why.
Yeah.
Maybe we should adopt that slogan. It's the best ban since sliced bread.
It really was banned. I think we could cover that one pretty quickly. It's not a major story. It's just during World War II, apparently the wrapping that sliced bread needs was like more intense than other wrapping for other bread, helping it stay fresher longer. And the government during World War II was like, yeah, we need that wax paper for the war effort, so you can't have it for your bread. And mothers were writing into like the New York Times. You could read their articles all distressed, like, I have to cut 11 slices in the morning for my family, for my husband to get ready. And my kids are just, it's really great because like angry mothers writing to the New York Times is what unbanned sliced bread. We almost didn't have any. So don't take that sliced bread for granted.
That's fascinating, really. It would be interesting to go through all of the modern conveniences that we're all sort of accustomed to, like microwaves or flat screen TVs or any of this, and see how many of them were initially banned by the government.
You can't have that. Another one, solar roadways. Have you heard about this? This is a cool.
I have seen this. It sounds like a cool idea.
Yeah. I would like. A lot of people ask, like, who will build the roads, and as if they have no imagination for any other way that transportation could be done or how roads could be improved. Like, flat slabs of asphalt is just the best idea we can ever come up with. We've maxed out on that.
Well, it's because without the government, the laws of physics turn upside down, and like rubber and asphalt combine into a lethal sort of compound that exudes chemicals into the air, and you need government to keep those laws of physics in place.
It is so stupid. So solar roadways, we will talk about those. Also, Ademo took a plea deal this week. That's a big deal.
I heard that.
Block.org, yep, he accepted a plea deal for his wiretapping charges after winning his appeal. Really, really weird stuff. We'll talk about that, and maybe even we could get him to call in. That would be nice. City attorney wants good PR for pot, but continues to jail other drug users. That's a video I was throwing around on Facebook this week from Fox in Seattle, where the city attorney was like, woo, I can go and buy $40 worth of pot, and he was holding it up and showing, like, I'm going to use this responsibly, ha ha ha, and I was one of the only people I saw who threw this around who was offended. Everyone was like, yay, pot is legal, look, the district attorney's willing to buy some. But he continues to jail other users. Oh yeah, all those people that threw a slammer into rooms for marijuana. Sorry, like, you don't get to leave now. You're gonna stay in jail and continue to be raped. Now we'll be right back. Ouch! What a weird note to end on. I'm gonna make sure that we're still broadcast on
your signal's real jumpy.
because
Your signal got really jumpy in the last 30 seconds.
Okay. All right. I'll see what I can.
Your selection with Bitcoins or Federal Reserve notes at metal.lrn.fm. That's metal.lrn.fm.
It's a landmark day in the March for Equality here in America. Congress passed the Casinos for Fairness Act today, which gives every mistreated in America the right to own a casino.
Work with Native Americans, it will work for the rest of the country. If our society has put you down, you will get a casino to pull yourselves back up.
Veterans will also have the right to open a casino as a replacement for costlier benefit programs.
I think it'd be nice to have a casino. I mean, I'd rather still be able to walk, but, you know.
While the majority of the country is in the Casino Act as a step forward, Native Americans are objecting to the law.
Still the most advanced in America. So all that we ask is that we're allowed to open whorehouses and start legally selling cocaine.
The bill raised the question whether immigrants should be allowed to own casinos. After much debate, the legislature decided that they would not, but they will be able to sell sliced mango on the street without a vendor license.
Three important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1, let your friends listening to LRN. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. If there was a place that liberty-minded people had been elected to political positions and were rolling back government, would you move there? If freedom lovers had secured a 20% voting bloc and can veto most bad bills, would you move? Well, the time has come to sign the pledge at freestateproject.org. These things have happened in New Hampshire, and you can join us and help. freestateproject.org. Sign up now at freestateproject.org.
If you can't listen to the Liberty Radio Network's internet streams, free satellite channel, or radio affiliates,
Hey, Derek,
no
when I
worries.
hear distortion or jumpiness, is that in the signal, or is it likely just coming to me that way?
When you hear distortion in the signal,
Yeah, like, is that the way it's broadcast on LRN, or is it just coming to me that way through Google Hangouts?
no, it'd be just through you. And even when talking has been happening, hey, we are connected, right?
That's what I was going to ask, is did you get your connection?
Yeah, I mean, I've been hearing Lauren in my ear the whole time, even when you came and said we weren't broadcasting.
Interesting. Yeah, because at the beginning of your show, your music played, and it was dead air, and the LRN's off the air thing.
Is it still blinking?
Because I switched over to Free Talk Live for a segment.
Okay. Thank you.
So
But
we'll,
I mean, I've been hearing Lauren.
There's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the Liberty Media capital of the world. Television, talk radio,
Downstairs, let me know. That's open.
with regular social events each week.
Yeah,
See
just-
what's happening at freekey.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, affordable activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekey.com. That's freekey.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not help us cover our satellite costs with on the right side of the page. LRN.FM.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. We are live at peacenewsnow.com/live. I'm not signed into the chat room over there, but if you want to chat with me and other listeners, you can do that. Built right into the webpage, and you can see listening to audio, though. The best place to go is the Liberty Radio Network at lrn.fm. That is the home of Peace News Now and Peace News Now Studios. So, welcome you to go and check all of those websites out. I'm joined by Dobby Barker, and we're still going through the long list of peaceful resistance news stories from this week, including a boy who is to be injected in his penis by the local police and then photographed while naked. An honest gun-owning mom busted in New Jersey, facing 3 years in prison. I shouldn't laugh. Facing 3 years in prison. This is very serious. And she's fighting back as well. Just to wrap up the rest of these intros to the stories, there's a band called Skinny Puppy that has had its music used for Guantanamo Bay torture music, and they recently joined with Abby Martin. RT is breaking the set and talking about how he's been an animal rights activist and how this using his music as torture has been affecting him. Also, a peaceful resistor in Kansas has carved out a new freedom. You remember that boy, the 9-year-old boy who had his library banned, all the books in it?
Yeah.
Well, he's got a happy date. And the Insane Clown Posse loses its FBI lawsuit, and they are declared a gang. So that just rounds out our intro to the topics. But I'd like to go first to the honest gun-owning mom. Have you heard the story yet, Tavi?
Just from you. But I would say that being honest with the government may have been her first mistake.
Unfortunately, I wish that weren't the case. I would like honesty to always be incentivized, but you're right. That was probably her first mistake. I noticed that also from this news story, right at the bottom at my9newjersey.com, the top-rated comment comes from our very own Larkin Rose, and so apparently he's got some popular commentary on this issue. So let me just read it, let the folks know. Well, I'll let you know after just a bit of the story so that we have some context. First of all, 27-year-old Shanine Allen from Philadelphia wanted to protect her family. She took a gun safety course, applied for, and was granted a concealed carry permit, and she purchased a gun. Quote, one of my family members, he thought it was appropriate for me to get one because I'm a single mother and I have 2 children and I work 2 jobs and I work late and getting up at that time of night. I got robbed twice last year, and he felt the need for me to get my license to protect me and my kids. That's what Shanine Allen explained. However, while Allen was covered to carry a gun in Pennsylvania, she made the mistake of crossing into New Jersey with a weapon, and now she's facing a mandatory minimum of 3 years in jail. Allen said she didn't know her permit didn't apply to New Jersey, so when she stopped for a minor traffic offense, she told police about the gun and her permit to carry. In this case, being honest may have cost her. Quote, the judge tried to tell me that telling the truth messed me up, my life up, and the cops said the same thing. Me opening my mouth and speaking out, he said, I'm one of 10 people that spoke up and was honest, and that got me in trouble. So I think here we know the rest of this story. Fortunately, the Allen's attorney, Evan Knappen, feels that the judge didn't have a lot of discretion in this particular case. So, the law says what he has to do. And Evan Knappen is the famous attorney that I'm looking to hire for a recent denial of concealed carry that I applied for here in New Hampshire. So what did Larkin Rose say about this issue? Well, he does have the top comment. It reads, if the New Jersey jackboot was actually a human being, he wouldn't be a New Jersey cop for one thing. He would have pretended he hadn't seen or heard anything. But no, being an unthinking fascist drone, he just had to kidnap the woman, knowing what was going to be done to her. It's time to get on the cattle cars, miss. Don't blame me, I'm following orders. I'll make the law, I just enforce it. The system is idiotic, and personally, I avoid the People's Republic of New Jersey every chance I get. But don't let the mindless badge-wearing automaton off so easy. All he had to do was say, I'm going to pretend you didn't tell me that, because that permit doesn't apply here. So have a nice day. So why didn't he? Because the brave men and women of law enforcement are nothing more than cowardly crooks serving their political masters. The woman owned a gun to protect herself from thugs and thieves, but ended up kidnapped and robbed by the biggest gang of thugs and thieves around. Law enforcement. That was the top comment on the article. So that tells you not only what Larkin thinks, but what everyone reading that article thinks.
Or at least a lot of them.
What are your?
I mean,
Yeah,
it's interesting. It's just a paperwork error. You know, it's like she wasn't trying to smuggle guns into the state. She wasn't like engaged in any violent activity. She's you know, she testified against herself. That's what happened. And you know, it's kind of despicable. I wish that there was more of a culture of cops just kind of looking the other way.
Yeah, I don't think they can do that. I don't think they can let her go now because they'll appear as soft on crime. Although that's what I'm going to hope. I mean, if it comes to a jury case, maybe they'll be able to, you know, show some sympathy and just let her go. Be like, hey, sorry, the law was unjust. We didn't mean it to apply to people like you. And what's also interesting is, you know, are criminals who this law was intended for going to be honest? Like, if the cop, like, talking to a felon who just had a minor traffic infraction and the felon had a gun in the car, and the cop's like, you got anything I should know about? You think the felon's going to be like, oh yeah, I got this gun over here? Or is he just going to be like, nope? And like, twiddle his thumbs. Yeah, he's just going to lie and say, no, I don't have anything that you should be interested in. But this woman just wants to be honest. Got this gun but I guess there should be some sort of education when you get these permits that, like, hey, it doesn't apply anywhere else. The Pennsylvania one is reciprocal, however, with New Hampshire. So if she wants to move up here and be a little more free, it's a great place to raise kids, and you won't have any problems carrying a gun around to defend yourself, unless of course you're me. We can talk about that on the break. But this is Peace News now. When we come back, I want to talk about that Kansas boy who's winning against the state.
Excuse me, is this where I get a license to start a new business?
Yeah, Davi. It's such a headache. I was denied my concealed carry license by the...
Yeah, I saw the update on Facebook.
Yeah, and one of the reasons I wanted it is that it would be reciprocal with PA, which is, you know, where I live most of the time. I live in Philly, so I would want to be able to have a permission from the Philadelphia authorities to concealed carry. Of course, I wouldn't expect to have any encounters or interactions with them during that time, but just in case, you know, I would like to have the paperwork to prove. I asked mommy and daddy government, and they said yes.
Right.
But that was denied. So I have I have 30 days to appeal, and then within that time, there will be a
Isn't it a shall issue state? Like, what are the grounds that they denied you?
Oh, you see, I am an assaultive and threatening person. Actually, or threatening person.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I know words are significant in their legal definitions. So yeah, that's what the chief of police in Keene said, that I'm assaultive or threatening, so I can't have a concealed carry license. Now, interestingly enough, I learned that if you decide that you want to conceal carry anyway, the permit only applies to handguns. So I could theoretically purchase a trench coat and a long gun.
Walk around with a violin case.
Yeah, exactly. I could conceal a long gun, and that would be perfectly legal. I could strap any size gun or knife to my hip, and that would be perfectly legal, so long as it's clearly visible. But if I'm wearing a gun, you see, and right here on my hip, if my shirt just slightly covers over, now I'm concealing it, and so that would be illegal. So if my shirt just slightly covers over while
What if
I'm
it's a mesh shirt?
Oh yeah, that's interesting. I wonder what it would be. It's not really a shirt, right? It's just like a necklace, I guess. I don't know.
Is it reciprocal the other way? Could you apply for a concealed carry permit in Pennsylvania and use it in New Hampshire?
No, I try. Well, actually, maybe I looked that up. I was trying to find other states, so that could work. There are some states where a person can, if you're like, maybe you're denied concealed carry here, I could apply for an out-of-state permit that might be reciprocal somewhere else. But even then, on the form, I would have to explain, like, yes, I was denied in Keene, and here's why. It's because I'm allegedly assaultive or threatening. So I feel like the right thing to do is just get an attorney who knows what he's talking about to fight this and win quick and easy. Because in New Hampshire, it actually is in the law that if you're denied and it's for an illegitimate purpose, like if the chief of police was somehow being malicious in denying me a permit, which I'm not saying he is, but if he were, the attorney's fees could be covered by the state. So if I win, they actually have to pay my attorney.
Okay.
Kind of cool.
Well, I mean, is there a basis for accusing you of being assaultive and threatening? I mean, if it's a baseless accusation, isn't that sort of grounds for it being
well, he listed
illegitimate claim?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, he listed all of my past arrests. We're on a commercial break right now, but we're coming back in 7 seconds. Talking to a gentleman outside the door. All right, here comes the
Twitter. Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets.
Oh, and I have to connect with Rob Mathis. Let him know to come on.
Twitter.lrn.fm.
Good news for folks in Kansas. That 9-year-old boy actually won his trial against the, I don't know what city it was, Leawood City Council. So you may have heard the story about the 9-year-old boy who set up a mobile library in his front yard. He wanted neighbors to be able to take books if they want, leave books. He didn't charge any money for it. He even built his own stand, similar to a lemonade stand, but I would say a little more inventive. Now, a few weeks ago, he got into a little bit of trouble by the Leawood, Kansas police out in Kansas City's suburbs, and it was covered by the Daily Cause and kansascity.com. This update comes to us also from the Daily Cause because he won. 9-year-old Spencer Collins will be able to put his free library back in front of his yard first thing in the morning. The Leawood City Council unanimously approved a temporary moratorium.
A permit.
Yup. Well, giving him his own special
permit
for structures in front yards. I guess that's what they were saying, that he can't have this structure, this library. It's not like he built a whole building of a library. It's really just like maybe what you would put a rabbin pen in or a chicken coop.
It was essentially a large mailbox is what it was.
Yeah. Well, as soon as the moratorium passed, Mayor Peggy Dunn called Spencer to the front of the room to hand him a book for his library. An action that received applause from the room. I know, great. It's so gross. Is she trying to cover up the fact that she's completely evil for making this little boy? She was threatening what? Jail time, fines? What would happen to this little boy if he were to say, "No, I don't want your permission. I'm just going to keep doing my life."
Her own book.
Yeah, right.
Was it a copy of all the statutes that had been passed in the last 2 months?
Yeah, she gave him a copy of Mein Kampf. One Leawood resident voiced concern about the libraries at the meeting. Oh no, we always have one. What is the character
really?
from?
There was a detractor, someone who's against libraries.
Yeah. Why do we pay taxes for libraries and have those boxes on our streets? Wade King said. In a blighted area, sure, put them everywhere. We're not in a poor area. We don't need them.
Wow.
So even in little Leawood, Kansas, you can still find people who want to put little boys in prison for putting boxes of libraries on their streets. Anyway, it's a win. I say that's a small win for Leawood, Kansas, and for 9-year-old Spencer. We want to see more libraries in the front yard. I think it's an idea that could be mobile. You know, you could transport that idea around the country. Like my little sisters love to read. They're 12. They've got a front yard. They would love to share books with their friends and neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, that's a win. I love to see peaceful resistance. Here's another one that's not so happy, but is important for like millions of people. I had no idea how big this was. Have you heard? You know about the Juggalos, the people who follow the insane clown posse?
Yeah.
They were in the middle of an FBI lawsuit for the last year or so because the FBI wanted to call the Juggalos a gang, and they were saying, no, we're not a gang. We just have a lot of fans. They wear face
fan club.
It's weird, but we're not
saying the Kiss Army is a militant group.
Right. Like the Kiss Army. So the federal judge has dismissed the Insane Clown Posse's lawsuit against the FBI and the Justice Department, allowing the agencies to continue classifying the group's fans, called Juggalos, as a gang. According to the Associated Press Tuesday, U.S. District Court Robert Cleland ruled last week that because a 2011 FBI report on gangs is descriptive and not prescriptive, it doesn't break any laws. So the group intends to appeal the decision. They're not happy taking no for an answer, and they shouldn't be. Good for them.
So what, they have a description, they have a definition of a gang?
Yeah, the FBI has a definition of a gang, and apparently the Juggalos fit it. But they're going to challenge that, and good. They should challenge that.
Okay. When I was in school, the definition of a gang was more than 6 people in a group. That was the way my school defined gang. So, I don't know if there's... What does it even mean if they are a gang? Is it a crime to be in a gang?
Yes, apparently. Or maybe, you get extra charges. Sorry, people trying to... Sorry. I don't know what it means to be in a gang, but that's what the FBI thinks. I think you get extra charges. Like when I was arrested, they put the letters FS next to my name, and Pete has described this as well. I think what
Free State?
I think the police are trying to categorize people as part of a gang, because if you are charged with a crime and then additionally it's a gang crime, then you get worse charges or something. So if they can say you were doing Robin Hooding and you were doing it with those Free State gang people, then they can say it's worse. It's a bigger charge. You know, the whole gang is in on it. But it's just feeding parking meters and stupid stuff. Hey, speaking of people who have been harassed by police, we met that nice girl Vera, who's a politician in Russia. And she recently had her papers ripped up. They're papers that she needs to become a politician, to get voted stuff or get on the ballot. The article's in Russian, but I'm going to do a screen share with you so that we can see some of these pictures. I think you'll get the idea of what was actually taking place. Now, I don't know, I guess she's part of the Libertarian Party. You can see pictured here is a big, strong Russian bear, like a big man. And he is taking papers from this tiny little girl in a dress. She's trying to she's got her little glasses and her little bangs haircut. She looks like a schoolgirl. And this big bully, it couldn't be more picturesque what he's doing.
Have you tried hitting this translate button up at the top?
Oh, no. Yeah, why don't I hit that? Here, translate. Let's see if we can get something
good. Does with it?
Oh, it's a horror, the story writes. That's what writes the municipal deputy Karycha Vera, who is a candidate for Moscow City Duma. Today, me and my volunteers were attacked in the subway, defeated at a point, and broke out 40 signatures collected, which is half a day's work. One of the attackers, Chief Inspector Wow. So it looks like it was a police officer who was engaging in some of this behavior, attacking her, claimed that the territory belongs to him in the subway.
It's a turf war. This
Wow.
is.
Now
Yeah.
witnesses give testimony to the police. Others continue to collect signatures. If you can help, come to the Metro Shudinetskaya. We only have 4 days before the signatures are due, so she needs your support. And here's some pictures that were taken by some of the attendees of, look, this is a cop taking away
a folding table.
Yeah, like, you can't have this. You can't have this. I will rip up these papers now. Like, giving the finger to the cameraman, that's real nice. I mean, this is not going to last in the 21st century. You know, the people can use these bully tactics, but it's so clear who the real criminals are, and I think it only makes this politician more endearing. You know?
Yeah, I mean, except that if she needs these signatures, I guess, I don't know, could there be an outpouring of people eager to sign these petitions because of the aggression? That's a possibility.
I don't know. It's like a multi-year thing. You know, maybe she's not going to win this year, but at least she gets her name out there. She gets some face recognition for being an activist. And, you know, who knows where this could go. I think it's like in 10 years, you know, the libertarians are going to have a much easier time pointing out who the aggressors are. They're going to have an easier time getting elected if they're even still interested in doing stuff like that. And I see it as a win. Good for Vera. She didn't back down.
So those are some great dynamic photos, too.
Yeah, beautiful photos. So well done, everyone who participated. Coming up, we're going to talk about a veteran who was disarmed at gunpoint. An infuriating video, but there's a lot of great takeaways if you're ever disarmed. Stay tuned. This is Peace News Now.
If you want to move to the free state.
Hey, so Davi, sorry about that before. Rob was messaging me, and I don't know why people feel like they can just message me during the show. Like, while I'm talking, I really can't. I'm good at multitasking in a lot of ways. Like, I do hang out in the chat room and read what the people are writing there, but I can't just respond to Facebook like while I'm live. So let me respond to him now, and we can have ads. And I'll also put up my... Oh, I know that ad.
An activist's calling is to actively...
I put up my QR code because this show is made possible by people who scan this QR code every time I do a commercial break.
I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the government as a completely involuntary. If the Empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Did you know that you can listen to LRN.FM 24/7 via our free-to-air satellite channel? From Mexico to Canada, our signal covers nearly all of North America. All you need is a view of the southern sky, an affordable receiver, and a dish as small as 30 inches. There are no monthly fees. Learn more at sat.lrn.fm. Plus, if you're a broadcaster or want to be one, this is a good delivery method for our content. See our coverage map and get details at sat.lrn.fm. That's sat.lrn.fm.
Aren't you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Well, stop using their money. There's an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government, and by using their money, you're helping the state.
So, Davi, that was pretty cool. There was a man from the documentary crew actually here on the other side. Like, he popped into the studio and started filming. It was so reality TV.
Cool.
Yeah.
What documentary is this?
I have no idea. I really don't know what they're going to be doing with the footage. There's been a lot of TV and video people around Keene, and so I'm open. You know, I'm broadcasting from this room right now. I've got no problem with cameras being in here, so I'm just like, oh, hi. Now there's a camera in here. Very cool. Okay, let's get Rob in on this conversation. Do you know Rob, the voluntarious rebel? Did you meet him at PorkFest?
I think so, yeah.
He just
I
did
met a number of Robs. I bet if I saw his face, I'd recognize him.
Yeah, but he's the voluntarist rebel. He's got his show, the Rebel Love Show, that he does with Joel Valenzuela and Shire
Yeah.
Duke. He ran through a traffic stop recently and was awesome. He wasn't sure if he had to show his ID, so he ended up doing that. But none of us were really sure if a person is required to show ID during a traffic stop, a DUI checkpoint, as it were. And yeah, it was very cool. So I think he did a great job. I'd love for him to talk about it if he can join us. Join us now if you can.
Communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime at 213-493-0309. At 213-493-0309.
Welcome back to East News Now. Hey, the freethoughtproject.com has some excellent articles, some reporting by JG Vibes. I think that's who wrote this article about an infuriating video of a veteran who was unlawfully disarmed and arrested. I want to share some clips with you of what happened to this man because I think it all takes something away. I have never been disarmed. Davi, have you even worn a firearm around police?
No, I don't think so. I've only been shooting a handful of times, and I've never really worn a firearm in public. So.
Well, Mac Worley is a veteran of the United States Air Force. He honorably served his country for almost 6 years before being medically retired. That's at least the wording from this author, whose name I just can't find at the moment. I wouldn't call it serving. I didn't ask for him to go and hold a gun. And point
Oh,
it
it was
at
serving that stood
other
out to you?
people.
It was honorable
Right.
that stood out to me.
Yeah, honorably. Well, I think that's another distinction. It's a government word, meaning that he wasn't kicked out of their club, of their killing club. He
Yeah,
was
the
allowed to
Veterans
stay
Dictionary.
for
There's
6
a
years.
Veterans Dictionary, and it has a different definition of honor than a regular dictionary. The regular dictionary says that honor means action in accordance with right ethics or with the the recognition of behavior in accordance with the values of society. The Veterans Dictionary is essentially just stupid bravery. It means not running away from a conflict or fighting until the end. So yeah, they had to redefine that word.
That's interesting. Well, on June 29th, 2013, just 1 year ago, he was unlawfully detained, disarmed, and arrested, legally open carrying his rifle in Vancouver, Washington, of all places. He was charged with trespassing, despite being on a public sidewalk. He was also charged with displaying a weapon, even though open carry is legal in the state of Washington. Worley is currently fighting these charges, and we'll get to that. But first, on the line, we are joined by Rob, the voluntarist rebel. What's going on, Rob?
How's it going, Derek? Can you hear me well on here?
Yeah, you sound good to me.
Yeah, I hear you great. Sounds
great.
Right into your microphone. Where are you broadcasting from right now?
Where am I what now?
From where are you broadcasting?
I am broadcasting from the Rebel Love Studios in the heart of Manchester, New Hampshire.
Oh, very good. So I asked you on the program today because we went through a traffic stop together. We went through 2 traffic stops, DUI checkpoints. Will you tell us about those?
Yeah, it was my first time ever going through a DUI checkpoint or checkpoint in general. Even before I ever woke up to the ideas of liberty. When I saw a bunch of police pulling people over, I'm like, I don't want to go through that, and I would always avoid the checkpoint. This was the first time I ever actually drove through a checkpoint. should have done a little bit more research and been a little bit more prepared, in all honesty. But yeah, I went through it the first time, and then I followed
What do you mean by
James, who was. Go ahead.
How could you have prepared?
Well, I asked a couple questions to the officer, which I probably should have known ahead of time. Like, I didn't know the exact laws in regards to showing an ID to New Hampshire police officers and a traffic stop. I
Wait a
really
minute.
should have
You
known
just went
that.
silent. You didn't know the exact laws. Davi, is he silent for you, or is that just me?
Oh, I can hear him fine.
Oh, what? What happened?
Rob, can you
I'm
hear
here.
Derek?
Well, then just keep talking.
I hear both of you, though. Derek, you're a little bit more choppy. I hear Davi perfectly fine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
Right.
Derek,
You're gonna
can you
have to
hear
find
me?
Yeah, I can hear you just fine. So go on with your story, Rob.
So I wish I was a little bit more prepared in regards to the legalese, in regards to like what I have to show to a police officer in regards to ID and whatnot. A little bit unnerving being surrounded by so many police officers in one location. But overall, I think it went well. But I mean, we really were out there more for just for the cop block of the DUI checkpoint in general, trying to save people from going through it.
Did we lose Derek? Derek, are you there?
I think we might have lost him.
Well, it's an interesting conundrum. That means I don't know whether or not we're broadcasting or not.
I don't know if we are or not.
I think that we're still live on YouTube.
Okay.
So we could talk without him if you want.
Sure. What do you want to talk? Oh, by the way, I don't know if you can see it on camera. Like I told you before, PorkFest, I use your shiny badges right there on my
Yeah, I see
on
that.
my mic. Yeah. I actually wore. Drew gave me a Kill the President shirt. I wore it on my last show just because of that.
Cool. That's awesome. So I guess how was your activism received, I guess?
Oh, at the DUI checkpoint.
Yeah.
I would say 90% it was great. There was there's a couple people that like said get a job, sir, type of thing, which is kind of like I'm trying to save people and tell me to get a job. But for the most part, you can go to obviously Derek's Raw channel, but we a few activists here in Manchester, we have a Raw channel called Free Manchester Raw, which is just youtube.com/manchraw, where we have probably hundreds of videos from the last month and a half in regards to activism that's going on. There's already been 2 DUI checkpoint parties in the last month alone, where me, my Joel and Valenzuela and Andrew Virgilio have been posting videos from those checkpoints and from PorkFest as well up on there, so you can see the raw footage of like dealing with pedestrians, because a lot of times, especially, we'll get people coming out of bars thanking us, like shaking our hand, like saying how we rock and whatnot. You get cars honking by, like making sure to make the turn, because there's a huge choke point for the checkpoint. It's actually on a bridge going over to Merrimack, so it's a real easy way to like block a bunch of people from going through the checkpoint.
It's such a bizarre assumption to think that if somebody is enthusiastic about something other than a sports team or Game of Thrones, they must be unemployed. I mean, like, I don't know. Like, I would want to say to that, like, if that happened to me, I would want to say, this is my job. I'm doing my job. I'm just doing my job. Right?
Well, what's crazy is the guy that told me to do this, because I always walk around with my camera, because that's what I do.
The guy who said get a job?
Yeah, and the only reason why I approached this guy, this is before he even said that. I was walking by and he was stuck in traffic because there's literally like 30 or 40 of us out at this checkpoint. I've never seen so many people cop blocking at the same time. It was beautiful to see this. And this guy, I walked past his car. He had a Gadsden flag bumper sticker. So I'm like, okay, he's liberty-minded at some point. So like I backtrack to the guy and I wave him down, roll down the window. I'm like, hey man, you have a "Don't Tread on Me" Gadsden flag bumper sticker. Are you going to let these police officers tread on you and warrantlessly search your car and stop you? And he just screams out through the window, "Good job, you hippie," or something along those lines. And now I think I'm lost. Hello. extensions on mine. Yep.
Released Antminer S2 Bitcoin miner, 1 terahash, and only 1,000 watts. Order on today at tech.com or call them up 844-BITMAIN. That's 844-6246. In the news, on Wednesday, the alleged creator of the online marketplace Silk Road was denied his bid for dismissal of a federal indictment which accuses him of laundering money and being involved with illegal drug trade. Ross Ulbricht denied charges of money laundering, stating that bitcoins are not money. U.S. District Judge Catherine Forrest disagreed, stating that money could be laundered using the online cryptocurrency. Judge Forrest said Ulbricht played the role of intermediary between website users, acting as a sort of godfather. Ulbricht is facing 4 counts of conspiracy, including engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise, which carries a maximum sentence of life behind bars. The trial is scheduled to begin November 3rd. A study by the Crime Prevention Research Center found that a little over 11 million Americans now have permits to carry concealed weapons, up from 4.5 million in 2007. According to the report, violent crime rates dropped by 22%, while permits to carry rose 146%. Increasing gun ownership, litigation, and new state laws have all contributed to the rise in concealed carry permits, reported KSAZ. Currently, Florida has the most active concealed carry permits, with Texas coming in second. Wichita Falls, Texas has become the second city in the state to recycle treated wastewater to help bolster drinking supplies, according to CBS News. Located near the Oklahoma border, the city began reusing millions of gallons of water at the River Road waste treatment plant that's been purified to meet government standards. The recycled water is sent through a 12-mile pipeline into the Cypress Water Treatment Plant, where it receives additional purification. Support for Liberty Beat comes from Affordable Sound, CD and DVD duplication, along with posters and promotions materials. Mention promo code LIBERTY, and when you order 10 or more posters, you get 10 free. Online at affordablesound.com or call them up 512-459-5253. This is the Liberty Beat for Friday, July 11th, 2014. Check out the website at thelibertybeat.com. Former NSA contractor Edward Snowden officially filed a petition to extend his asylum in Russia for another year, as reported by the Russian Times. The Federal Migration Service is responsible for deciding whether Snowden will be allowed to stay, but has not yet commented on the application. While Snowden has planned to take asylum in Cuba, he ended up in Moscow on the evening of June 24, 2013, from Hong Kong, after he was unable to make his destination without being apprehended by U.S. authorities. The whistleblower told NBC in an interview that he would like to return to America if it were an option, but is afraid he would be unfairly convicted of espionage. Former New Orleans Mayor Ray Nagin was sentenced Wednesday to 10 years in prison for bribery, money laundering, and other corruption during his 2 terms as mayor, which included the chaotic years following the Hurricane Katrina disaster of 2005. Nagin was convicted of accepting hundreds of thousands of dollars from businessmen who wanted work from the city or the mayor's support for various projects. Among the bribes, Nagin accepted free vacations, cash, and truckloads of free granite for his family business. The former mayor is required to report to federal prison in Oakdale, Louisiana in September. The U.S. Department of Agriculture granted a special permit allowing Australian researchers to transport genetically modified bananas to the Midwestern state of Iowa. Scientists in Brisbane genetically altered the bananas to contain more beta-carotene, which converts to vitamin A, and they're paying volunteers in Iowa $900 each to test whether or not they work. The bananas, commonly used for cooking in Africa, are intended for the people of Uganda to help solve vitamin A deficiency in the country. Support for Liberty Beat comes from the Show.
1 2. There we go. 1 2 1 2. A little hot. 1 2 1 2 1 2. All right, give me a test. 1 2. Not into the top, into the side. The top does not work.
Hold on.
Oh, okay. But I just want to let you know, because a lot of people's natural reaction is to treat it like this kind of microphone.
Yep. Check 1 2.
Looks great. Sounds good. Can you hear the ads?
That happens millions of times a day, all
Over the world.
Other mice are wiped out by disease or starvation. If you collected all the mice that die in one day in New York City, they would weigh 8,000 pounds. If you stacked up an equivalent amount of dead humans or even mangy dogs, it would be considered an atrocity. It seems no one has any respect for the mouse. But then, why should they? The plankton of mammals. They breed rapidly. They all look identical, and they once spread the plague. No one weeps for the mouse. Its life is worth less than zero. Just another cold fact of life on this horrifying planet.
This is the Onion News Network.
Hey, welcome to Peace News Now. In studio with me is James Robin Hood Cleveland.
Hello.
And we are beginning the second hour of this broadcast on LRN.FM. If you're just joining us, go ahead on over to peacenewsnow.com/live. And there you'll find video of James and I, and you'll find a chat room built right into the webpage so you can chat with other listeners. So we were just talking with Rob, the Voluntarious Rebel, about a traffic stop in Manchester, New Hampshire, where there was a DUI checkpoint. And he was saying he was rolling through it, and he didn't really know what the rules were about showing his driver's license. He ended up having a pretty unique interaction with the police officer, but I would say yours topped it. Tell us about your experience rolling through the DUI checkpoint in Manchester.
So I've rolled through these things before, and kind of what I think the police always claim that there's some law you have to show them your driver's license, and I never can confirm or deny. I don't know if this law exists because they never can cite the RSA. So it's kind of funny. I mean, they always tell you ignorance of the law is no excuse. Okay, well, what's the RSA number that says I have to show the license? Oh, I don't know.
He didn't know. Yeah, and you were like, well, I've got time. He was like, you want me to look it up? You were like, yeah. But he didn't, did he?
No, he didn't. And so eventually I gave him my license. I kind of gave him a little bit of, like, well, I don't think I did anything wrong, and you guys just stopped me. I think I tried a new tactic, though, and basically it's like So normally, one of the things you can ask the police are, am I free to go? I almost adopted a am I free to stay approach. Like, can I stay in the checkpoint? I want to talk to you guys about what you're doing. You know?
Did you ask him, are you free to stay?
I don't think I did, but I just kept talking to him, and he's like, you can go now. He's trying to shoot me away, but I eventually did leave, and I came back and talked to him a little bit.
What did you make of that? Were you nervous when he was telling you to leave and you didn't want to leave?
Yes, because I figured I might be charged with, some kind of disobeying a police officer or something. I don't know.
You might have been. You almost could have been under arrest there. Now, the man you were speaking with is a significant figure. Why?
Yes, I thought I recognized him, and he was actually the police officer that Ademo supposedly wiretapped. So Ademo called, like, the school principal and the police captain of Manchester when this student was slammed by the school resource officer into a table.
Ademo recently pled guilty to those charges, by the way. You can read about that at copblock.org. Plus, we're going to be talking about it later on in this program.
Yeah, but the officer did seem like a nice guy, if you want to say that, but obviously I couldn't really recall who he was, and Garrett reminded me, and I thought that was fascinating. Later on, I came back and I tried to talk to the police, and unfortunately they didn't really want to have a conversation, but I'm kind of disturbed at this whole checkpoint thing. To me, checkpoints do not equal freedom. Shutting down a road and basically infringing on everyone's rights to try to catch a couple people who may or may not be putting other people in jeopardy, that's not what freedom's about, in my opinion.
Well, he argued that if they saved one life, it was worth it.
Okay, well, you could make that claim about anything. If they remove all the guns, it's worth it. If they make the driving age 30, it's worth it, because if it saves one life, it's worth it. If we don't allow people to drive over 10 miles an hour, it's worth it. I mean, how far do you want to take that? I don't think, in my opinion, that it's the best solution to inconvenience everyone to try to prevent someone from dying. And don't get me wrong, I don't think drunk driving is a good thing, but I think there has to be better ways to try to deal with this. I mean, they had 6 officers on the scene, and maybe that they had 2 shifts, I don't know, but they had a lot of police resources out there for hours manning this checkpoint, and I felt like they should have been doing something else.
About how many activists would you say there were in Manchester cop blocking this checkpoint?
I'm going to guess 20, but it was a lot.
I was estimating
of people.
about 30.
Yeah, maybe that's even a very conservative number on my part.
Yeah, I think it is, because we activists far outnumbered the police presence there that night. Would you say that's fair?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and numbers make a difference. So when the police see that they're completely surrounded by people who are, peacefully holding signs telling drivers how to avoid their checkpoint, they're not going to cause as much problems as we saw with, say, Dio in Ohio, who was recently arrested for holding a sign that said police checkpoint, turn here. That's because it was one guy against a police department. This is a team of activists now, and they've all got their signs. And of course it's peaceful. It's not like a us versus them thing, but you know how the police look at it, where if they can outnumber you, then they're probably going to arrest you. If you outnumber them, it's a lot less likely that they're going to break out the handcuffs. So what else was interesting about that night?
I mean, I thought it was great, how many folks showed up, and we had a lot of good signs, a lot of good interactions with the public. A lot of drivers, couple of drivers, you'd tell them the checkpoint, and they didn't really care, so they would go ahead and go through it. But a lot of people did exercise their choice to not go through the checkpoint.
Sorry.
To not go through the checkpoint, so that was good. I don't know. One thing too, I think even if you accept the criticism, like let's say that activists are successful and all the drunk drivers or impaired drivers are not going to go through the checkpoint, wouldn't it be logical for the police to be like, okay, I guess these people are here and the drunks aren't going to drive through, so maybe we should pack up the checkpoint at this point because we could drive around and catch drunks better.
Yeah. If they were really looking for drunk drivers, that's what they would have done. Packed up and said, look, the activists are telling people not to come this way. If there are drunk drivers, they've either got to be really drunk and not even notice the signs, or we're not going to catch them.
I suspect that in New Hampshire there are more arrests for people driving without a license, not having their vehicle inspected, things of that nature that have nothing to do with public safety per se, than there are catching impaired drivers. I don't think they catch that many impaired drivers.
One of my favorites from that video, which by the way is already at freekeen.com if you want to go watch it. It might also be posted by now at copblock.org because that video was submitted. But your interaction with the police where you were asking, what if this isn't about safety? What if this is about control? And they sort of froze. I think that was one of the first things that you said to them. And they might have been just shocked that you were addressing them while they were working or standing around in the street, as it were. But they might have also been shocked by the nature of the question. What do you think?
I don't know. To me, it's very disturbing to see checkpoints in supposedly free country. And, of course, we all know that's nonsense. But the narrative is still there that America is a free country and, you have all this freedom. And then to see checkpoints, which are the antithesis of freedom, in my opinion, so when I was involved with the Army, one of the things I learned was how to set up these things called TCPs, traffic control points. And basically a TCP, you set up this point, and then you search cars and you check people's paperwork. And I swear, like when I see, it's just like any traffic control situation. I mean, I was getting like I don't want to say flashbacks, but I mean they basically set up their checkpoints the same way that the military sets up checkpoints. So to me, it looks like an occupying force, and I think that people, they don't like the checkpoints because of the inconvenience and things, but I think it's a very dangerous path, and it's something that free people should just not accept. I mean, people should be like, there should be 100 people out there protesting the checkpoint. I mean, it should be almost like, imagine that you had 100 cars and you just kept going through the checkpoint, and then it's like they're never gonna. It's just gonna be searching the same cars over and over and over again. But that'd be one other way. I think a pretty funny way to do it.
Yeah, during today's Sunderjize meeting, Rich Paul had some interesting suggestions for ways to do, like, what would be street theater, I guess, running through these checkpoints. One of the ideas was to have a car filled with balloons.
That would be great. And then open the windows.
What would happen? What would they do? We've got more Peace News now coming up.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about more peaceful resistance, and hopefully we'll be chatting with Alma Summer of the Jackalope Freedom Festival, so stay tuned.
Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges, start a conversation with your neighbor or your doctor or your family or your school. Now there's teachers and lawyers and business executives, and they all wear shiny badges and they all reject the state. Shiny badges on your jacket, shiny badges show the world that you reject coercion and aggression and oppression by the state. ShinyBadges.com.
Free Talk Live.
It's if I'm watching not a cable, just regular news, and they give me the news, and the next flash is two people fornicating, okay? And then every other word is F-U, a B-I-C, a hoe, and all this stuff, and penis. Do you think I need to say that? That's not acceptable no matter what. You're saying free airways. For anything goes for anybody.
For public access, yes. That's
well,
exactly its
that
purpose.
shouldn't be
That's the purpose of it.
Why not?
Do you want a red light in front of a cop?
Probably not in front of a cop
All
because
right.
it hurt
What's
me.
the same difference if you're going to have that kind of FU and seeing two people fornicating after they just said the weather is 92 degrees and 5
Well,
inches?
wait, I think you're a little confused about something.
No, I'm not
Point-
confused.
Point of information.
You're trying to confuse people.
Let's clarify
free
that.
airways are free within limits.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM. Instead of just listening, you can also watch. See the Liberty Radio Network's key New Hampshire-based live shows via our studio cam at cam.lrn.fm. Plus, you'll still be able to listen to the Liberty Radio Network via the cam feed in high quality 24/7, even when there's no live show being produced in our Keene studio. But wait, there's more. Our chat room is built into the cam page so you can interact with other listeners online. Listen, watch, and chat, all free at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Do you love coffee as much as I love coffee? Here's a delicious way to drink the best of the best coffee and make a difference, one cup at a time. We've partnered with Camano Island Coffee Roasters to offer BuzzBox coffee, and you can try a pound for free. All you do is cover shipping. It's organic, shade-grown, top 1% Arabica grade. 10% of future purchases help our efforts to give the gift of human freedom through at least 100 microloans via World Vision. For more information, go to coffee.freetalklive.com. The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your
seriously injured, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation. Our attorneys have recovered millions and millions of dollars for injured clients. There are no out-of-pocket costs to you ever. We only receive a fee when we win your case. We are available 24/7. If you've been in an accident and been seriously injured, make this free call to our attorneys now. Call the Personal Injury Center at 800-648-9173. 800-648-9173. 800-648-9173. That's 800-648-9173. This ad is paid for by participating member law firms. We are not an attorney referral service. Representation may not be.
You can interact with other LRN listeners on our message board at forum.lrn.fm. That's forum.lrn.fm.
Hey, we're live.
Okay.
Welcome back to Peace News Now. I'm live in studio at Peace News Now Studios, broadcasting from Keene in the Shire, and I'm here with James Robin Hood Cleveland.
Hello.
And you just came from Robin Hood Park, didn't you?
That's right. We're having Social Sunday out there.
Cool. And you took some people there, so you're going to have to head out after this segment.
Yep.
All right. So joining us on the Skype line is Alma Summer of the Jackalope Freedom Festival. What's going on, Alma?
Lots of stuff's going on. How are you?
I'm awesome.
Good. Things have been pretty crazy here, you know. We're just getting ready to go camping and planning what we're going to do for our different agris businesses, and it's a lot of fun.
And where is here for you?
Arizona.
Yes. And tell us about the Jackalope Freedom Festival. What is it? When is it?
The Jackalope Freedom Festival is August 1st through 3rd. This will be the 3rd annual festival that has gone on, and it's in northern Arizona. It's about 40 miles east of Payson, so it's on the northeastern side of Arizona, and it's up in the tall pines, and it's above the rim, so it's super cool and no humidity, and it's really nice to just get out of the heat because I'm in the valley, so it's really hot here, and it's nice to get out and go be with a bunch of like-minded people for a weekend. The motto for Jackalope Freedom Festival is where spontaneous order happens naturally without any force, coercion, or aggression. So if that should give you a pretty good idea of what the festival is like.
It sounds a lot like Pork Fest. Do the two compare in your mind?
Well, it was PorkFest that gave me the idea to kind of spur the idea out here, and it really caught on. We have the festival in national forests, so it's not on private property, so there's definitely a difference there. And you know, as far as camping or setting up your your area goes, it's first come, first serve, and it's such a large area. I mean, the options are limitless.
So I'm looking at your website right now, which all I did was Google Jackalope Freedom Festival, and I was able to find it. Yes, it's where spontaneous order happens naturally, without any force, coercion, or aggression. So it says that artists, activities, and people who are self-sustainable, and any other freedom-loving person following the NAP, the non-aggression principle, is welcome. So have you had any visitors that you've had to ban, people who don't follow the NAP?
Not so far. Even the Forest Service rangers that came to visit us last year followed the NAP, so that was nice of them.
Wow. Were you surprised?
I mean, I don't really know if they knew what they were, coming into. I know that if anything, they were probably aware of who I am and had read my Facebook at the time or whatever they got their hands on, and they knew who Ernie was, and they knew about his website before they, before the festival happened. So
Ernest Hancock of Freedom Speaks.
And declare your independence. So.
Okay, and people can donate Bitcoin to help make this event happen. How much are tickets?
There is no fee to enter.
All right. Sounds awesome. What am I looking at here on your website? There are some maps.
Yeah, that's just a Google map, and if you can click on, there's like a little link underneath that says View Jackfest in a larger map, and I would click on that, and then it opens the full Google map, and you can zoom out. I don't know why it zoomed in so close, just the way it did it, but if you zoom out, you can see that you have to drive 7.5 miles in to get to Baca Meadows, which is where, the main area is kind of set up.
So this is really in the woods. I mean, PorcFest happens in the White Mountains of New Hampshire, but you can go like half a mile down the road and visit a grocery store. It's not like that here.
Yeah, there is a convenience store just before the entrance. So if you want anything, it's a good place to stop, and they always support putting up a sign for the festival, and they help promote it, so that's pretty cool of them.
Wow. Do you have any interactions with government people during this festival?
Well, just last year, there was some law enforcement and some random vehicles that came up a little bit early and attempted to, talk to people and question them a little bit, asking them what they're there for and if they're there for the festival or whatever. And then when Friday rolled around and I had, my whole Agris marketplace area set up with signs and banners and everything, they came and they just wanted to tell us that they didn't want people driving ATVs in the meadow, and they wanted to make sure that there was gun safety going on. And then at the end of the conversation, he's like, and if more people come, they can camp over here and they can camp over here. And he motions right and left. And, it's just silly. They just wanted to come and kind of puff their chests a little bit.
Sounds like they wanted to have some control over the situation, right? Isn't that what they're trained to do? Just take control.
Yeah, I think they believe that if they didn't exist, the forest wouldn't exist either.
Right. And people have been camping since before the government. They may not know that, but it's true. What else do you expect about the Jackalope Freedom Festival? What would I expect if I come there? Am I just going to be camping? I hear there's lots of music. Live music.
I hope so. It just depends. I'm not the best at getting musicians to be inspired to come without being paid. I think they are probably the hardest group of people to inspire to come to a festival like this without any kind of compensation.
Hey, he who pays the piper calls the tune, right?
Yeah, seriously. So, but a lot of people are naturally musicians, and they bring their instruments, and anyone is welcome to play. My biggest thing every year is I make sure audio equipment is set up for speakers or, agrists who want to announce an event or whatever they're selling, their product or service at their camping location, things like that.
So what kind of infrastructure is there? Do you guys bring in everything? You just mentioned that you guys had power, but it's 7 miles in.
It's on an individual basis. I make sure that, I borrow power that I need for setting up equipment like that because that's something that I want to see there. And, you know, other people bring generators, and RVs can even come in with trailers and cars towed onto them and things like that. So there's actually another route coming in from the east that's a little bit better for bigger vehicles like that.
Okay, I would say that's one thing that you guys have better than PorkFest is it's kind of cool where you'd come in and build up the infrastructure. That's truly more from the ground up, where PorkFest is running into problems where at Rogers it's assumed like, oh, we have the infrastructure, we have the showers, we have the bathrooms.
Yeah, it's
then
too reliant.
Yeah, and then it fails like it has for the last 2 years, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that's even inspiring some entrepreneurs, like some people who are talking about building 4-pay bathrooms. Would you have 4-pay bathrooms at the Jackalope Freedom Festival for the yuppies who want to come?
We get porta potties every year, but it's an individual who takes it upon themselves to collect donations, and we've never had any problem not covering the amount of donations we need for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is good.
What a good story. Okay, well, the website, you can just Google Jackalope Freedom Festival, and it will appear. Their logo is like a bunny with antlers. I guess that's a jackalope. Our guest has been Alma Summer. I want to also thank James Robin Hood Cleveland for being on. We didn't have enough time with either of you, but thank you so much for calling in. When we come back, we're going to be talking about Ademo Freeman of copblock.org. He took a plea deal.
Free Press Publications is an
Thank you, Alma.
media and publishing company founded in June 2000.
Well, I look forward to promoting the Jackalope Freedom Festival some more. I'll chat with you later. I gotta say bye to James. All right, peace.
FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary at fpp.cc, as well as weekly news in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com. The monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc, and books at shop.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
This is the Central Scrutinizer. I steal your labor by force through taxation.
My job is to
Spy on you and keep
you from hearing things like the Freedom Fiends. I especially
do not want you to torrent Freedom Fiends episodes to keep them drone-proof. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives. Do not go to freedomfiends.com and click on the torrent link and learn how to torrent Fiends archives.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. Find out about giving to our Google AdWords campaign at amp.freetalklive.com. That's amp.freetalklive.com.
Did you know you can get news updates about what's happening with the Liberty Radio Network delivered in the way you prefer? You can sign up for our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. Plus, you can stay in the loop by joining our Facebook profile at facebook.lrn.fm or follow us at Twitter, twitter.lrn.fm. It's all free, so sign up now at updates.lrn.fm for news updates delivered to your email box, facebook.lrn.fm to follow our Facebook page, and twitter.lrn.fm to receive our tweets.
Are you looking for an excuse to come check out New Hampshire this fall? You're invited to Keenvention. Keenvention is your chance to meet dozens of key liberty activists from across the Shire. You can explore the beautiful little city of Keene, discuss various forms of activism with seasoned veterans, do some Robin Hooding, and learn about making the move. Keenvention received rave reviews last year. If you missed it, visit keenvention.info for full video coverage of every speaker and panel. This year, Rich Paul is our first announced keynote speaker, and more are being announced now at keenvention.info. Join old and new friends and neighbors in Keene for Keenvention this October 31st through November 2nd. You can pre-order your tickets now for just $60 at keenvention.info, or you can pay with Bitcoin. Visit keenvention.info for more information and to lock in your tickets at the pre-order $60 price for the whole weekend. Visit keenvention.info for more, or look for our page and event on Facebook. That's keenvention.info.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
Hey, welcome back. This is Peace News Now. I'm your host, Derek J. Freeman. You can learn about me at derekj.me. It's this website I built for encapsulating all of the projects that I work on, because I do lots of different things. I produced a movie in 2012 called Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, based on all the YouTube videos that I was taking. That YouTube channel being Freeman TV, with the E's as threes. And I'm still doing that, by the way. Now that I live back in Keene in the Shire, I still have a YouTube channel where I'm broadcasting all of the daily videos that I take. You can check out that YouTube channel at youtube.com/DerekJLive. And like, if you want to see all this stuff and you're like, Derek does too many things, I can't really follow it, go to derekj.me, and that's like the portal through which you can find all of my different projects. So you can also donate to me there, or donate to this show at donate.peacenewsnow.com. Hey, you know, speaking of donations and calls to action, that's one of the things I was worried about with this program as I'm looking to expand it, bringing it to local broadcast stations. You might have a local broadcast network where you live, and it can be free, as it is here in Keene, to become a member. And then once you're a member, you can submit show content. Sometimes you don't even need to be a member to submit show content to your local cable access provider, and they can show off these shows for you. So like, you can just submit an episode of Peace News Now and be like, I want to see this on my local TV. You can do that now. It's really cool. Most most communities have a local cable station that you can submit stuff to. And I'm going to try it out here in Keene. I'll tell you if it works or not. So we talked about the Jackalope Freedom Festival. Alma Summer was joining us. Now let's move into some really weird news. It's weird for me to read this. Ademo Freeman covered this on his Facebook. He shared that William Toller did an excellent job of doing, his journalism work, explaining the story of what happened from beginning to end. So let me just read it from photographyisnotacrime.com. Many of you already know Ademo Freeman of copblock.org. You know about what's happened with him. This is just a brief recap. Even in the live free or die state, holding public officials accountable can land you in a cage. CopBlock co-founder Ademo Freeman, whose given name is Adam Miller, took a plea deal last week in Manchester, New Hampshire, in a retrial relating to wiretapping charges from a 2011 incident where he recorded telephone conversations he had with 3 public employees regarding an altercation between a student and a school resource officer. In that altercation, West High School student Frank Harrington was face-planted into a lunchroom table by Officer Darren Murphy over a prank the student had played on his sister. The confrontation was captured on video by another student. After learning that Harrington had been suspended, Freeman called both the Manchester Police Department and the school to see if Murphy had also been disciplined, recording his conversations. As a result, Freeman was charged, tried, and convicted in 2012 on 3 counts of felony wiretapping and served 90 days in jail. He later appealed on the grounds of improper jury instruction and had the conviction reversed. But instead of letting it go, Hillsborough County District Attorney Michael Valentine decided to prosecute Freeman again. Freeman said the plea deal reduced his felony charges, which carried a combined maximum sentence of 21 years, to misdemeanors. In turn, he received a 90-day sentence and a year of good behavior to stay out of prison. Already did the jail time, so 1 year to go, he said. Attorney Brandon Ross helped Freeman with his appeal and the retrial pro bono. Brandon was great, Freeman said. I'm glad he's willing to do so much for so little to no financial compensation. Freeman is usually an advocate of not taking the plea. Quote, I took the plea because it was the best choice for me, he said. My goal in any court case isn't to win, but to show how the system doesn't do what it claims to do, protect people. Freeman said this was the third time he's taken a deal. The first two were over marijuana charges. He said the decision to take the deal wasn't that hard to make. I know what the state does and what it wants, and it was going to get a conviction, he said. Again, my goal was to show the system is flawed. I did that the first time around. He says he thinks people should hold everyone accountable. Yet, when it comes to government officials, I always suggest filming them, he said. You can always try to move to places with less of them as well. Another thing I've done by moving to the White Mountains of the Shire. Freeman recently moved from Laconia to Tamworth, New Hampshire, with a picturesque view of the mountains from his deck. He's since taken a break from the on-the-street activism and works with the Sons of Liberty Mint, a company that sells and melts down and mints silver into 1/4 ounce and 1 ounce pieces. I plan to live my life, he said. I might not be out on the street cop blocking, but I'm not going to hide either. My life itself is activism, he said. So long as I'm breathing, I'm going to be an advocate for freedom, while living as free as possible. Just a brilliant article by William Toller of copblock.org and of the Independent Register. I believe he also does Indie Register. The top comment on this is by Stunk Bear, who writes, short-term victory for the police state, long-term loss. Every day, more and more people are getting fed up with the police state, and it will boil over eventually. When it does boil over, I hope the people show the police staters what it's like to be abused. Well, I certainly disagree with that sentiment. I don't want more people to be harmed. The cycle of violence has to end somewhere. And while this is a sentiment shared by many, I fear it's a sentiment that will get us nowhere. When things boil over, the best thing we can do is evolve. Peacefully evolve by breaking that cycle of violence. Stand up and be the person who's willing to take the hit and not throw a punch back. Be the person who is willing to turn the other cheek. No, I'm not a Christian, but I understand the cycle of violence. Hitting people and using threats of force, even threats of state force, is just the wrong thing to do. Now, I know people will disagree with me and say that that's a pacifist's mentality and that it invites more aggression from the officers. We can disagree about that. My point is the cycle of violence has to end somewhere. And Ademo's doing the right thing by taking the plea deal in this case. If he were to take on the charges again, there's nothing he could win from that. They're going to slap him with more time in jail. Even if he were to, quote-unquote, win, they've already lost all of he's lost his time. You can't get that back. And Brandon Ross, who's been volunteering on behalf of this huge case, well, he gets a little publicity out of it. But he doesn't get any publicity when the deal just when Ademo takes a plea deal. That unfortunately doesn't do much for someone who's trying to win up a record as a lawyer. I'd love to see more of these liberty lawyers representing people pro bono and gaining a reputation for standing on the side of what's right against unjust laws. We've seen that happen in Keene, in the Shire. Tom, oh gosh, I'm forgetting his name at the moment, but he's the lawyer who's been representing the Robin Hooders. John Meyer is another excellent attorney who's willing to stand up for what's right, regardless of if he's being paid to speak or not. Peace News Now.
Ross Ulbricht was arrested by the FBI in 2013 and charged with victimless crimes in relation to allegedly operating the Bitcoin-based Silk Road black market. He has been in a prison cell awaiting trial ever since. If he did it, he's a hero for making the black market a safer place. If he did not, he's a man wrongfully accused. Either way, if you love freedom and want to end the war on drugs, Ross and his family need your support. You can learn more and help fund his defense at freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
This is the Onion Week in Review, pushed to the breaking point after constantly being taken to task without ever hearing a word of thanks for what it does around here. An overwhelmed and infuriated nation announced Wednesday that it was trying, okay? Jesus Christ. A poll of the American populace revealed that 33% felt they were doing pretty damn well, all things considered, while another 28% just wanted 2 measly minutes without somebody breathing down their damn neck. A group of female friends spent a raucous night on the town Thursday, validating the living shit out of each other.
Solar freaking Roadways.
What are they?
They're so
Absolutely went to town on a session of non-judgmental reassurances.
Last night was crazy. I don't even remember half the uplifting things I said to Karen. We've always been the kind of group that listens hard and consoles even harder.
And in other news, a group of semester at sea students steal an anchor for their dorm room. A 5-year-old wants to be an overworked Haitian nanny when he grows up. And every group of friends at a karaoke bar ruins every other group's night.
This is the Onion News Network.
Imagine someone in your community getting in their car, turning on the radio, and hearing the Liberty Radio Network. You can make that vision a reality with your own micro radio station. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how you can put our programs on the air in your area. You can have LRN.FM running around the clock, and you can even add in your own local shows. Building a radio station is simple, but programming isn't. That's where LRN.FM comes in. Learn more at broadcast.lrn.fm. That's broadcast.lrn.fm.
There's a treasure hunt going on at mathgate.info, a Bitcoin treasure hunt. You can find Bitcoins by proving theorems. So, learn some logic, do some math, find some Bitcoins. Even better, mathgate.info is designed to be used anonymously. So, connect to mathgate.info through Tor, prove some theorems, find some anonymous Bitcoins. Don't wait, others are already searching for the Bitcoins. Go to mathgate.info today and join the treasure hunt. There are anonymous Bitcoins to be had for the taking at mathgate.info. The 3 most important things you can do for LRN.FM are: 1. Let your friends know you're listening to LRN.FM on your social networking profile. 2. Buy the things you buy online through shop.lrn.fm. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm. It's my firm belief that the AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented groups. Support all your favorite organizations, but make sure you give $5 a month to the AMP program at amp.lrn.fm.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 70% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. From demonstrations and vigils to outreach and volunteering, there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeen.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeen.com. That's freekeen.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
Welcome back, everybody. This is the final segment of the show. Very good to be with you this Sunday, July 13th, 2014. And what I'm looking at right now, I'll screen share with you. It's a full-page ad that was taken out for sliced bread. Yep, right here in the Chicago Constitution Tribune, is what it looks like to me. And it's got a full-page ad for, it's really hard to show on a screen share. But yep, that was a full-page ad for this day in history, written July 7th, so a few days ago. Sliced bread made its debut, and Americans loved it. The government banned it. By Brittany Ann Morrissey. On this day, 86 years ago, the best thing since ever, hit store shelves. Sliced bread. The day before its official debut, Chilcloth Baking Company, the first company to produce and market this revolutionary new way to buy bread, put out a full-page ad in its local Missouri paper, the Clothesline Constitution Tribune, announcing the greatest forward step in the baking industry since bread was wrapped. Sliced, clean-made bread. The ad slogan is possibly where the phrase best thing since sliced bread originated, and 2 years later, another baking company brought sliced bread to the national market with the iconic brand Wonder Bread. Housewives rejoiced, toaster sales boomed, and Americans ate more slices of bread than ever before. Then, on January 18th, 1943, the modern marvel disappeared from store shelves. The reason? Government officials had initiated the first ever war on carbs, a ban on pre-sliced bread, deemed necessary to help conserve resources for World War II. The sandwich-loving public was not happy. As one woman put it in a letter to the New York Times, quote, "I should like to let you know how important sliced bread is to the morale and saneness of a household. My husband and 4 children are all in a rush during and after breakfast. Without ready sliced bread, I must do the slicing for toast. 2 pieces for each one, that's 10. For their lunches, I must cut by hand at least 20 slices, 2 sandwiches apiece. Afterward, I make my own toast, 22 slices of bread to be cut, in a hurry." The head of the War Food Administration said the ban was to conserve the thicker wax paper that the Federal Drug Administration regulations said bakeries had to use because sliced bread went stale faster than whole loaves. The ban did not last long enough. Did not last long, though, probably due to its unpopularity. The government repealed it 3 months later with the head of the War Food Administration saying, quote, "Our experience with the order, however, leads us to believe that the savings are not as much as we expected, and the War Production Board tells us that sufficient wax paper to wrap sliced bread for 4 months is in the hands of paper processor and baking industry." So that's so weird. First, it's rules infringing on their rules. It's like there have to be the entrepreneurs come up with sliced bread and they're like, here it is, people, here's sliced bread, you can have it. And then the Food and Drug Administration has to say, oh, well, wait a minute, you have to use thicker wax paper. If you're going to have pre-sliced bread, you have to use our thick wax paper. And then they say, well, since you're using the thick wax paper that we told you have to use, now we have to conserve that wax paper for the war effort. And then it's so unpopular, people are writing to the New York Times, and they say, never mind, I guess our savings was not what we thought it was going to be. Sandwich-loving Americans haven't gone stale on the modern convenience since. Well, a happy story. I'm glad to hear about that. Now there's another modern convenience that we can cheer about. This one is an invention that could change the world.
Solar freaking roadways.
What are they?
They're solar freaking roadways.
What do they want from me?
Well, they're solar freaking roadways. Okay, so actually this time, what is it? It's technology that replaces all roadways, parking lots, sidewalks, driveways, tarmacs, bike paths, and outdoor recreation services with solar panels. And not just lifeless, boring solar panels. Smart, microprocessing, interlocking, hexagonal solar units. No more useless asphalt and concrete just sitting there baking in the sun, needing to be repaved and filling with potholes that ruin your axle alignment on your sweet ride, bro. These are intelligent solar panels. Replace a panel at a time if damaged or malfunctioning. They're covered with a new tempered glass material that has been designed and tested to meet all impact, load, and traction requirements. Oh, and did I mention that they're also solar panels? They generate electricity. They generate capital. They pay for themselves, and they keep paying more because we're not going to run out of sun for like 15 billion years. That lowers the cost of energy, unlike those bills in the mail that keep going up. And it's clean energy. Everyone can theoretically drive an electric car with no pollution and a minimal carbon footprint. Can you imagine how good our cities would smell? How much healthier we'd all be?
Excuse me, young man. Am I being led to believe that this thing is some sort of thing?
Yes, it's a thing, a real thing. And clean energy is only its primary function. Grab a notepad, because this is where it gets interesting. For those in the north, the panels use energy they collect to power elements to keep the surface temperature a few degrees above freezing. They're heated. No more ice and snow on roads causing traffic delays, accidents, and injury. No more shoveling your driveway and sidewalk. No salt corroding your car or wasting tax money on snow removal. And you can ride your bike or drive your motorcycle all year round. Whoa! Every panel has a series of LED lights on the circuit board that can be programmed to make landscape designs, warning signs, parking lot configurations, whatever. These roads never have to have lanes repainted, just reprogrammed to whatever we choose or whatever works best. Imagine a highway road lighting up ahead of you. How much safer it would be to drive at night. There'd be improved visibility for pilots landing on solar landing strips. Imagine walking onto a solar recreation court and choosing a sports configuration. Want to play basketball? Cool. Kids want to play hopscotch and foursquare? Awesome. Ball hockey? Done. And with LED lights under your feet, it's going to look...
So I think you can see how awesome this is. We do have a caller on the line. Caller, you are connected to Peace News Now. What's on your mind?
Hey, it's Derek the Hypocrite. How you doing, Derek?
What's your name?
Oh, my name's Dave. You're Derek the Hypocrite, though.
Hi, Dave. Why am I a hypocrite?
Oh, you know, never take a plea deal unless, of course, you have to take a plea deal. What's the deal with telling people never take a plea deal?
Yeah, so you want to talk about the plea deal. The plea deal is an option for most people who are charged with a crime. The prosecutor, typically in an effort to avoid going to court and paying all of the fees and taking up all the time that it takes to go to trial, they offer people charged with crimes a deal that if they plead guilty to maybe a lesser crime, or if they plead guilty to the charge that they've been alleged to have committed, then the prosecution will go easy on them and give them a light sentence. And this is a great tactic for activists who have a single charge. If you've been charged with a victimless crime, I strongly recommend that people refuse the plea deal, and even refuse it multiple times. This is something that I did. I refused the plea deal several times, and that made the plea deal get sweeter. Typically, the deal is good up until the last minute before court, so the tactic I used was to negotiate a plea deal with several different prosecutors over a period of about 3 months, and during that time I was able to significantly reduce the harm that the government was going to impose on me. So is that why you're calling me a hypocrite, Dave?
Well, not just you, but, you know, Peter, Ian, what's your buddy that just got let out of jail? You know, you guys all take plea deals.
That's right.
But you tell us people don't take the plea deal.
Yeah, I still tell people not to take the plea deal, and it's smart.
Unless of course you can benefit from it and you don't have to do your time or your thing. So it's okay for you or Peter or Ian or other people to take a plea deal, but then you tell other people never take a plea deal. Right?
I don't say never.
That's kind of hypocritic.
No, I say.
I believe that's what it says on the bumper sticker. Never take the plea deal, or don't take the plea deal.
So
Like,
I don't know
it's
what bumper
hypocrite.
sticker you're talking about. I don't have a car, so I don't have a bumper sticker. But I do tell people not to take the plea deal, and that's why. And I think I've been pretty clear about the reasons I accepted the plea deal. So is that all you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, you're just a hypocrite. That's who you are.
I mean, I think I've been pretty clear that I did refuse the deal. Oh, and the caller has hung up. So I guess that's all I wanted to share. This is an open lines show, so if you wanted to say something nice and you don't appreciate that caller, hey, you should call in next time and share something nice instead of just leaving it to the mean people. But hey, that's what's going to happen on an open lines show. So we appreciate you, the listeners, and you, the callers, even if you're nasty. This is Peace News Now. We'll be back on Tuesday. Peace.